Come on, you knew this was going to happen. The script is the same in every case. They start with the expensive ones, then they take the really fancy technology and they bring it down to the ones that everybody buys. So in this case, we started with an EQS and an EQS AMG, and now this is the one the huddled masses are going to buy. Okay, so it may look like a GLB 250 with a more fancy nose, but what exactly is it? Well, it's a GLB 250 with an electric propulsion system, but it's not just throwing in a couple of electric motors and calling it a day. There are a number of changes, and there are actually two different models. There's the EQB 300, and there's this, the EQB 350. They are both on offer only as all-wheel drive, at least currently, which means a front electric motor and a rear electric motor. The EQB 300, that's 168 kilowatt output, which translates to 225 horsepower and 288 pounds of torque. This one, the one we're going to be driving today, that's 215 kilowatt output, which translates to 288 horsepower and 384 pounds of torque. Now the obvious question, what's the difference to change the output? It's really nothing. The motors are the same. It's really just the tuning that changes the output. Now, I did speak to one of the engineers. There's going to be a third model coming for the 23 model year, which will give us an EQB 250, which is a front-wheel drive, longer range. That's going to have 250 miles of range, at least projected. Now, that brings the obvious question, what's the range of this? Well, in the EQB 300, that's 230 miles of range, and in the EQB 350, it's 220 miles of range. Huge hinweis there. That is not from the US government. The vehicle you and I are driving today is a German market vehicle that is tested on the European standards, and they're saying 419 kilometers of range. Then we get to the battery. Now there it depends on the region of the world. Like in Europe, there's going to be a 66.5 kilowatt hour battery. That's not making its way to the US. The US will have a 70.5 kilowatt hour battery of usable capacity. Now in terms of charging it, it's got an 11 kilowatt onboard charger. Now in terms of how long it takes to charge it, it's not an interval like the Iconic 5 or the Porsche. So here it's 10 to 80% in 32 minutes, then a full charge over 11 hours. Then there are the performance figures. The GLB 250, that wasn't about performance, and neither is this. 0 to 60 for the 300 is 7 seconds, 0 to 60 for this is 6 seconds, and VMAX on both, 100 miles an hour. So you may remember the GLB as a small, light crossover. However, when you add batteries, not so much. 4,718 pounds, or depending on express your weights and measures, 2,140 kilograms with that. Oh, wow, that goes much better than a GLB. I would argue better than a GLB 35. Coming into this turn, oh yes, I definitely feel the weight here. But acceleration is really good. It actually transforms the way this vehicle feels. Like the GLB, it is a really good little around-town vehicle. I actually like it better than the GLA. It's the kind of thing that I would recommend to folks that want something that's sort of fancy but not big. The only problem is the gasoline version, it's got a buzzy 4-cylinder engine. This, on the other hand, much different delivery of power, obviously because of EV, but really what you're feeling is a combination of torque as well as a more supple delivery of power. Now, one pretty sizable delta in terms of the way it delivers power between this and the ICE is where the power is being transferred to the road. The ICE, you feel that it is a front-wheel drive vehicle, whether it's a 250 or a 35. This, you feel that is a rear drive vehicle, and frankly that goes a long way to kind of backing up what the badge is on the car. It feels more of a luxurious vehicle as an EV rather than an ICE. In terms of what's underneath the vehicle there, it is very similar to the ICE. struts up front, multi-link in the rear. The biggest difference that you notice here is that extra weight. There is no way to hide it. You really notice it when you push it aggressively through turns, but let's be honest, the kind of folks who are going to be driving these vehicles aren't going to be doing what I'm doing here. And really, it doesn't embarrass itself as long as you know where to put the weight. Now that's all fine and good, but what does that mean in the real world where the rubber literally meets the road? And here I would argue it's all about the ride quality. Generally very good, but there's no getting away from the fact that this is, yes, a smaller, shorter crossover, but it's tall and has a lot of weight that it's got to contend with. Now, an interesting side note to that, it's got a relatively short wheelbase. It's a 111-inch wheelbase like the regular ICE, but you don't feel like a choppy ride quality even though it's a smaller vehicle. Now, a huge advice here as it relates to ride quality, the wheel sizes. The car you and I are driving today is a European market car and is available with 20-inch wheels, which has a huge impact on the range. The US models will not have the option of the 20-inch wheel. It's only an 18, which comes as standard, and the optional 19s. Now, in all my time driving this thing around southern Germany, I haven't noticed an impact on ride quality with the larger 20-inch wheels, which bodes well for the 18s and the 19s in the US. Yes, it is indeed that time again to play your favorite game on the options game with today's contestant, the first ever baby buggy that's electric from Mercedes, otherwise known as the EQB 350 4MATIC for a base price of $59,300. Now that is somewhat misleading because these are on offer in two different trim levels. There's a basic, that's the $59,300. Then there is the Pinnacle. That one is $60,300. It comes with a couple of other things as standard. Most importantly, a panoramic sunroof, Burmester sound, and a 360 camera. I would argue just because it has a sunroof, that's the one I would go for. If one needed the sunroof in the basic, that's an additional $1,500. Now there is that EQB 300 we discussed at the beginning of the episode that has the most basic price of $55,750. If it was a Pinnacle, $58,300. Now really can't talk about the colors here because when you come on these trips to Germany, there really isn't a lot of creativity in the color department. It's usually like white, gray, if you're really lucky, black. This was anything you want as long as it's gray. My guess is this will be an additional like $650. Believe it or not, this is the one case where I would suggest rose gold, and I hate gold. For some reason on this packaging of baby buggy, it works very well. My guess, probably between $600 to $1,000 extra. Then this vehicle is fitted with the driver's assistance package. That adds a lot of safety doodads, but most importantly, the Distronic Plus Level 2 autonomy. No, it's not a self-driving car, it's just Level 2. That is an additional $1,300. Then there's the technology package. This adds a couple of important things like the MBUX assistant, as well as the augmented navigation, so augmented reality to the navigation system. The screens themselves, the larger screens, that is standard. It is not optional on this vehicle. And most importantly, that package includes a head-up display for $2,000. Let me move on to the AMG Night package. That changes the trim to a dark trim, $3,250. Wow, that's a lot of money on a $50,000 vehicle. Then the only other thing we add is the destination handling, not von Deutschland, where I'm standing right now, rather Hungary, $1,050, which brings us to a total retail price of $66,900. So you and I need to have a discussion about regen brakes. Different OEMs have different approaches to this topic. Mercedes offers 3 different levels of regen. There's a basic level of regen, which we have been in throughout the entire episode. This, you almost don't notice regen here. Yeah, it's giving you a little bit of energy that's recuperating to the battery, which is not intrusive to the driving dynamics of the vehicle. Translate, it doesn't have that on-off switch feel to the brakes. Then there is a more regen mode. You put that mode on with the paddles here. It is a full one-pedal driving experience. I have pulled my foot off the accelerator and the car is practically coming to a stop. This is wonderful in and out of these small villages here in southern Germany. Wonderful to drive, I would say, around big cities in the US as well. And then there's a gliding mode, meaning no regen, and this stands out for a couple of reasons. Number one, it feels more natural. And number two, frankly, it makes it a little bit more a traditional personality, which a lot of EVs are missing. Okay, so what have we learned today? Well, let's not mince words. This platform, whether you want to call it a GLB, EQB, it is significantly better with an EV propulsion system, and that's for a couple of simple reasons. The kind of folks who are looking for vehicles like this would be better suited to the EV lifestyle, and frankly, just the way it delivers power, which brings us to the wish list. And here, I gotta bitch about the money. Not that this thing is crazy overpriced, there's just an opportunity that is being left on the table. And what I would propose here is perhaps not make an ICE version of this vehicle, because I think going forward, there would be more demand for EV only of this type of smaller city vehicle. So the proposal is this: how about we nix the ICE, but make it only EV, with the goal towards getting economies of scale to lower the production cost of the vehicle, thus lowering the retail price of the vehicle. And when I say lower the retail price of the vehicle, I'm thinking like mid-40s. And for the avoidance of doubt, that's not including a rebate, because many people don't get that rebate or tax credit or whatever you want to call it. This is one man's opinion, and this is the point of the episode, where I turn this around to you guys to opine in the comments below, or via our social media, MotoManTV, all one word, MotoManTV, all one word, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And with that, I don't know when you are seeing this, but this is my second episode. I am shooting with my new cameraman in Europe, who is Greek, Yanni. And Yanni reminded me to thank you guys for our recently completed South Bay Greek Festival. I literally left this festival on a Sunday night and flew here on a Monday morning. I haven't done that festival in almost 3 years, and it was great to be back. Until I see you in the next episode, bis später.